has been extremely bearish the past 3 days, pretty much 1, 2, 3, absolutely falling to the downside really aggressively. And yeah, I'm expecting more downside, to be honest. Again, looking at the higher time frames where we're situated, how prices reacted, looks like prices tried to break through the highs there, but essentially has had a very miserable attempt at doing that, and now we've had a really aggressive fall. So I won't be surprised if the dollar eventually does make a push back to 100. So personally, I do see a lot more downside for dollar, and it makes things very simple for me, because now the plan very much is just pull back some more downside. Yesterday I was talking about the shorts on the retest of this low. Still look really good. It's just we pulled it a long way away, so it's going to be quite a pullback for us to get there. DXY is capable of seeing such a pullback as well. But I think in terms of really keeping in tune with the market, be prepared for the market to maybe create some resistance and then sell off from that area as well, if we don't get that bigger pullback into 106.2. But essentially, dollar very bearish bias. We've got a key low over here where price consolidated briefly, big push to the upside. I wonder if we're at that area already. Just missed it by the smallest margin, but more or less at that area as well. So we might be seeing a pullback pretty shortly there for the dollar, because number one, it's very overextended. Number two, we're coming to an area where we did see a lot of buying pressure previously. But despite that, like I said, still do expect to see a longer term move to the downside. And the plan very much is just pullbacks and looking to short the dollar, of course, looking to buy euro, buy pound, short dollar CAD, short dollar CHF. Those are the markets I'm looking to take advantage of. But for now, the bias for myself with the DXY is pretty straightforward: pullback, more downside. So very bearish on the DXY. In terms of Euro USD, so Euro pretty much the exact opposite. Again, for this one, if I scoot to the daily chart, similar situation in terms of we tried to break through the low here, basically failed at doing that. We had a very corrective time in this area, and we were pointing that out on multiple occasions, how corrective we were, the fact that we had a lot of momentum going into this level, but all of a sudden that dissipated, and now we became very flat. And we formed this kind of rounded bottom, and price now absolutely blasted to the upside there. So now we're looking very bullish, and yes, they were hinting at this area as a major target around 1.09. Again, if DXY is going to push to 100, you're probably going to see Euro push to 1.11. So there's a lot of upside there for Euro USD to still head into, despite the massive move we already had. Again, the plan is just very much looking at pullbacks and more upside. I spoke about this level down here as a nice place for a retest, but funnily enough, I'm not too sure if we're going to see a pullback that big. It would be great if it were to happen, but then again, I don't want to see an impulsive move down to get there. That's not how I want price to correct. If I'm looking to take a buy, I want price to move slowly, and if we're going to do that all the way down there, it's going to take some time, and it's going to be quite a big pullback as well. So I'm not too sure we'll get such a move like that for Euro. So a similar situation in terms of the DXY, we might pull back, create some support, and then use that to potentially push the upside. So keeping an eye on something like this forming. Again, very hypothetical, because I don't know where it's going to form or how it's going to form, but essentially just looking for price to create its own support. Potentially a nice double bottom could look good, and perhaps we see the continuation of that. The key thing right now is that there's a lot of momentum in the market. So I don't expect to see a huge sell-off here. I expect to see slow movement to the downside. Price creates its own support, and from that we could see the continuation. And like I said, 1.09 will be the next big target. I still do like this area, so if we do get a long corrective move that does eventually come back for a retest of 1.05, then great. I will keep an eye on that, but it's just that we're very far away, so I highly doubt that, but we'll see. Pound USD, similar situation as well. Very bullish too. Really nice move to the upside. We've well and truly broken structure here on the left as well. So because of that, again, more upside looks likely there for pound. There's a major high on the left here, 1.31. That is kind of my next major target there for pound. At the moment, I do want to see a bit of a correction. We have left behind some nice healthy areas to buy from. I still do like this prior high. We spoke about this briefly yesterday. Pound continued to push the upside. I still do like the possibility of a pullback into this area. if pound USD can give us a nice corrective pullback, I would expect to see more upside from that. You can see the success of high lows prices been printing. 1, 2, 3, 4, simply looking for number 5, and then again expecting at least a push back to the high. So for example, if we do pull back from here, then that of course would be the target for the trade. We do have some daily targets just above us, but primarily looking to target wherever that recent swing high is on the 4-hour chart. But yeah, we've broken through structure now, which is pretty significant. And now I'm just looking for this bullish trend here to continue. So just again, pullbacks, more upside, which are the same outlook on the dollar, pullbacks, more downside on USD as well. So it's still very much bearish on the dollar. USD CAD, which is a position I'm currently still in, didn't really see too much movement in context with the other USD pairs. Euro, massive move to the upside, pound, big move. Even Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar had some pretty big moves. Dollar CAD did see some nice downside, but again, CAD's just still pretty weak. So this trade hasn't really got going yet. But in a bit of profit, and hopefully we can see a push to the low. I am still very bearish on USD. So with a pair like dollar CAD, I'm always really looking to short. And again, based on where we're coming from, massive weekly area of resistance. Once, huge reaction to the downside there. Second time, another huge reaction to the downside. And now at that area for a third time as well. So expect to see some downside. We had a really aggressive reaction a few weeks back with this move. And the plan for the trade has always just been a pullback of that move for continuation. I originally talked about some shorts on the retest of this area. Didn't really get the confirmations for the trade. We had a bigger pullback than I originally anticipated. We came back into the high, respected it very well, hopped into the trade on Tuesday, and we've seen some nice downside. So looking for a lot more. 1.415 is my target for the trade. But yeah, we'll see how that does develop. There might be some lower time frame entries and some retests of these areas. I don't think it's particularly great because you won't get a nice stop loss in that position unless you drop right down to the lower time frames. And it's a bit awkward still, even though it's a USD pair, which I'm expecting downside. CAD is just still pretty weak as well. So it is a bit of an awkward pair right now. But I am still pretty bearish. Aussie dollar. So this one, as I just mentioned, very bullish move to the upside yesterday. Was not expecting that. I expected a bit more of a slow move. But again, with USD being so weak, then it just kind of helped this one to the upside. And I think AUD gained a little bit of strength as well. But yeah, USD is the main culprit here. But yeah, very strong move to the upside. I said some buys look good if we can get back down to the lows here, because at least there we can base some healthy stop losses from. And we already know that price has had a couple attempts trying to break through. So if we get there a third time, there's a good chance we would see a bounce. Of course, that didn't quite happen. Price got about 75% of the way there before having a really strong move. So again, there's not really a trade here, I would say, in terms of the longs. We're more so back in bearish territory right now. If anything, we'll probably do a bit of retracement there for Aussie dollar. So perhaps if you are on the lower time frames, there might be some opportunities. Should we see some bigger pullbacks, something like this, maybe that could present a nice opportunity in the hourly chart, maybe next week, because it's already Thursday today. Maybe Friday, but yeah, maybe Friday. But yeah, with Aussie dollar, again, USD pair, I'm very bearish on USD. So predominantly looking for buys for Aussie dollar. And again, where we're situated, massive support on the weekly chart as well. I am looking for a bounce to the upside. So that's still very much the plan for Aussie dollar. But right now is not the best time to be looking to jump into longs based on where we're trading. You kind of want price to pull away a little bit, find support in the lower time frames. And perhaps you can take a nice swing back to the high. But again, that trade might be for Friday, but we do have NFP on Friday, so it might be a bit dodgy. So might be best to wait for next week to hop into some longs there for Aussie dollar. Not my favorite trade, to be honest, but if you're in the lower time frames, it could be a decent setup there. New Zealand dollar, similar situation as well. I spoke about price coming a little bit lower to test support here before bouncing. However, again, price didn't quite do that. We held into support here on the left, and we had a really big move to the upside. So likewise with New Zealand dollar, looking for a lot more upside. We came back into major support on the weekly chart. If we scoot to the weekly, don't know what's going on there. Really massive support here. Again, looking for a bit more upside there for New Zealand dollar. And again, my bearish bias on New Zealand, on USD as well. Helps me have that bias there for NZD/USD. So again, still expecting a pushback to the high, but perhaps we do get a bit of a correction, which might present some opportunities on the lower time frames, probably even lower than the hourly chart. It might want to be looking at 30 or 50-minute chart for a bit of a correction, and perhaps we might see some continuation there. Some nice support down the left. Maybe we come back and retest that before continuing. And that could be a trade for this week as well. But yeah, NZD/USD looks like we've still got upside in the tank as well, expecting at least a push back to the high at 0.57668, which is the high there. We could go a lot further as well, and I kind of expect us to do. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with NZD/USD. Not really a trade that you're looking for a swing. The move's kind of already happened. But yeah, for more upside, I do expect that. In terms of gold, we have seen a bit of a bearish reaction. So price did push the downside. I was talking about some buys yesterday for gold, and we did see a nice reaction, to be honest, from that area. I was speaking about some buys from this level here because we had a really nice push to the upside at the start of the week. Then we had kind of this bull flag situation going on here. And I talked about some buys on the retest of that area, retest the consolidation / coming to the low of that channel as well. We did have a nice reaction in the afternoon, and it did manage to see a push back to the high, but we failed to continue. If we got the continuation and the break of that high, perhaps we would have made it back to the all-time high, the swing high at 29.55. But we failed at that, and price had a bit of a sell there to the downside. And now we're kind of back in that situation, but it's not looking as good as it was yesterday. Yesterday we had a nice kind of flag pattern forming there. Now we've kind of got a consolidation just on top of another consolidation. I would still be a bit on the fence here with gold, because it does look like price is really struggling to continue higher. Perhaps is this a lower high forming for a push down? If I'm going to be bearish in gold, then I do want to see a strong break to the downside, something like this, and then we can look for some lower time frame pullbacks to trade it back into the low. I think that would be a nice high probability trade, because at least at that point you've got price forming a high, then we're breaking through some key support, key consolidation, which did give us a push to the upside last time. So be breaking some structure as well, and then the pullbacks will look good, perhaps to retest that range on the way down. So if I was looking to short golds, especially in the lower time frames, I would want to see something like this happen, some more follow through to the downside, and then try and call some pullbacks to trade it back into the low. At the moment, this is still bullish territory. We had a big reaction there once, second time as well. Perhaps we have another big push to the upside. After all, the market is kind of just moving sideways right now for gold. So yeah, if we are going to see a bit more downside, I would wait for us to clear that area, and then some pullbacks might look a lot cleaner to trade, and a push back to the low looks good. But the fact that we failed at the highs there is not a great sign for the buys there for gold. You wanted price to break through that to really kickstart the journey back to the high. Unfortunately, didn't quite see that yesterday with gold. In terms of silver, silver's in an awkward position. Again, I'm kind of still just waiting to see what silver's next move is before I do start to look to trade it or look for any setups. My plan for silver has very much been, okay, if price is going to break through this level at 32.3, I will look to be bullish if we do break through, because then my expectation would be that we move to the next big level, which is at 34.8 up there. If price does have a really strong rejection at that level, then I'm looking for a big sell back to 29-ish, 28.8, 29. And that will be the move I'm looking to take advantage of. It really does depend on what we do at this level. So far, we've been respecting pretty well as resistance. We tried to have a bit of a breakout a couple of weeks back, didn't really manage to do that. Now we're coming back into the level. Yesterday kind of looked like we kind of closed above, but not really concrete. I wouldn't be surprised if today we come back below. So it's not really clear cut right now for silver. Hopefully in the next few days, it will become clearer. Again, I'm still bullish long term because that's the direction of the trend, but there might be some nice counter trend shorts to take if we do reject this level at 32.3. So that's really where I'm at with silver. Don't really have a setup yet, just because it isn't clear in terms of the direction. When the direction becomes clear, then hopefully I will have a setup